Good evening, good evening, good evening, everyone. Hello, hello. Ah, it is in the 6 o'clock hour, and I've been trying to get on since about 4:30. This new Facebook Live is an issue. At least it is with me. But anyway, I'm glad to be here. It's Lady Victoria with Victoria School of Etiquette. I'm so happy to have you be a part of our platform on this afternoon. Victoria School of Etiquette is a place where we offer a solution to your etiquette and various life dilemmas. I am your etiquette educator and your worthy life coach, broadcasting to you live from the great windy city of Chicago. Chi-Town is what we like to call it. We are the best in the Midwest. And welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Friday. This starts the weekend for most people. But guess what? You really won't be going anywhere. You really won't be going anywhere. But anyway, I'm glad that you are here. So thank you to my live viewers that are watching me live. Thank you so very much for joining. And for those of you that will catch it on the replay, thank you for taking time out of your schedule later on to watch our broadcast. If you haven't joined, or if you haven't subscribed, rather, to my YouTube channel by the same name, Victoria School of Etiquette, head on over there and subscribe to the channel. And so if you miss me live or you missed a replay, you can always catch me over there, and you have access to all of our videos for your viewing pleasure at the time that is most convenient for you. So thank you. It is the dinner hour. I was trying to get on before we got over into the dinner hour, but I wasn't able to do so then. But again, I am here now. And so please like and share across your various social media platforms. I appreciate you doing that. And we're going to jump on in. Some of you are probably already sitting down to dinner, but I wanted to talk about something on this Friday, right? We all like to eat, right? We all like to eat. We enjoy sitting down to a good meal that's pleasing to our palate, that is filling to our belly, and even more so when it's been made with love, right? Everything tastes better when it's made with love, all food. So, as you are consuming a meal, I just began to think about, have you thought about how that food is digested and how you're intaking it? I believe that it plays a part in how much you enjoy your food, how you ingest, how you consume what it is that you are eating, even if it is your favorite meal. And if it's something that you don't like so much, that you don't like so well, but you're being tolerant because perhaps you're a guest at someone's home, or you're in a dinner business meeting or something to that effect, and you're just trying to be polite by partaking of the meal that has been set before you. Well, there's a good point to that, and there's a not so good point to that. I always say, never eat anything that you don't like. If you don't like it, you shouldn't have to eat it. And you're adult enough to be able to say to your guests, prior to, if at all possible, but if that's not the case, or if you're in a public setting and you're trying something for the very first time and then you discover that you don't like it, it's not pleasing to your palate, then you can push it to the side on your plate and you do not have to consume it. You do not have to consume it. But I want to talk about this evening on how we consume our food. How do we eat our food? I like to eat and I enjoy cooking. And so I believe that every meal should be a dining experience that you remember. Good evening. Thank you for joining. I think that every meal should be something that you enjoy, and every dining experience should be just that. It should be an experience. One, hopefully, that you remember well. And if you don't remember it well, that's another story. But when you're dining, when we're eating our food, when we are consuming, are we mindful about the speed rate at which we're eating? Are we mindful about how much we're consuming in every bite that goes onto our spoon or to our fork? Are we thinking about that? Are we thinking about portion size as well when you're consuming your food? So this one is entitled Bite Size Only. Bite size only meaning that you should be consuming your food one bite at a time. And so you say, well, what is bite-sized, Lady Victoria? What do you mean by taking a bite-sized portion of whatever it is that I am eating? Well, there's a little bit of a thing about that. Bite-size might be different for different people. Okay, I'm a small framed woman. I say I'm still a petite side, but I'm a small framed woman. But if I'm sitting next to someone that's twice my size, or someone that's bigger or larger than I am, then a bite-sized portion for them would be smaller than a bite-sized portion for me. But here is the general rule of thumb: no matter what size you are, or matter even the size of your mouth, the size of your mouth can also dictate what is a bite-sized portion for you. And that's, trust me, that's another whole video, because then you get into size, you get into weight, you get into BMI, and all of that. And so, but we're just talking about in general for this purposes of this video. A bite-sized portion should be enough to fill the bowl of your spoon. Here, I have a dinner spoon. It should be enough to fill it without it overflowing. And if you really want to make sure that you aren't losing your food as you're eating, don't fill it all the way. Maybe you fill it halfway or 2/3 of the way full. If you fill it that much, then you know that you have enough in your spoon, you have enough in the bowl of your spoon to retain it without it falling over. And again, this is our dinner fork, okay? Spoon, I'm sorry, picking up the fork. This is a dinner fork, right? And so, if you're using a fork, your portion, again, should not fill and overflow the entire tines of the fork. Now you say it's going to matter and make a difference what kind of a fork you're using or what kind of a utensil. So here we have our dinner fork, and over here we have a salad or a dessert fork. You can tell that they're different because the tines are shorter, the handle is shorter. Salad or dessert, dinner. More food fits on this one than does this one. So if you're eating with this one, it will be less on here, but at the same time, it should not be full to overflowing, because you're still consuming a bite-sized portion only. So for your salad, you want to consume enough. And if you're one of the people that spike your food when you eat, like you stab at it, you spike it, so you still shouldn't be spiking it and then pushing, spiking it and then pushing, spiking it and then pushing it until the tines are completely full all the way to the end, where it's almost going to show up on the neck or the shoulders of it. You shouldn't have food this full on your utensil. It should not be. So it doesn't matter, salad again, or dessert, or dinner. You want to have just enough to fill it and for it not to be overflowing. This is a great utensil that we use when we're eating all of the time. This is what we call our dinner knife. Okay, this is what we call our dinner knife. You can see it. Whether you're using it with your salad or dessert fork, or whether you're using it with your dinner fork, this is a great utensil to have in your place setting. And I avail myself of it at almost every meal, especially when it's lunch and or dinner, because this utensil can be known as a pusher. And you would take your food as you were eating your food. As you're eating, go this way. Okay, as you're eating and you're trying to get it all onto your plate, you just simply scoop it. You take it and you scoop it onto, I'm sorry, taking it from your plate onto your eating utensil. You take it and you scoop it. I'm sorry, I thought I turned my off. Okay, I'm sorry. So you want to take it and you scoop it on. So it can be known as a pusher. And this is what you often use it for. Okay, so that's that little lesson. But we're talking about how much you consume at one time. Bite-sized portions only. Bite-sized portions only also means that when you are eating your food, that you cut it up into bite-sized pieces. You cut it up into small pieces, enough that's going to be sufficient to fit onto your eating utensil and then into your mouth. So if you're doing one of these issues, the fork is full and you're doing one of these issues to get it inside, that's not a bite-sized portion. I'm sorry. Sorry, not sorry. That's not a bite-sized portion. It should be just enough for you to be able to gently open your mouth, put the utensil in, put your lips together, right? As you bring it off of your utensil and into the throat. And so then here we are with the next portion of a bite-sized portion. It's important to have a bite-sized portion because it's going to oftentimes affect how you chew. And especially when you give thought to it before you are consuming your meal. A bite-sized portion requires less chewing than an oversized portion. Now, the standard chew times, or the standard number of times that you chew any bite-sized portion of food, generally speaking, is about 32 times. And so as you are chewing, good evening, Sandra. As you are chewing, you mentally count. You count in your head how many times literally you are chewing. As you chew, you put the food in your mouth. As you chew, you close your lips together and you begin to chew. You see how my jaws are working? My jaws are working, and your tongue inside of your mouth acts as, how do I want to say? Some people refer to it as a blade, so to speak. Some people can also refer to it as a shovel, but the tongue inside of your mouth helps to shift the food to your jaws on either side. Now, if your jaws are really full, then you know that you've taken on more than a bite-sized portion. It should be just enough to fit comfortably into your mouth, and your tongue is used to push the food around and to help navigate it. You should chew on both sides of your mouth, of course, not at the same time. You will do that, though, if you've consumed too much and there's too much food in your mouth, then you will likely chew on both sides at the same time because you have chipmunk cheeks. Chipmunk cheeks. No, that's not acceptable. That's not how, that's not a polite way to eat when you are dining, even if you're dining alone, because you know, oftentimes I end my videos with the manners that you practice in private are the ones that will show up in public. And so if you make that a practice all of the time, when you are in the public domain, when you are in a public restaurant, or when you're at a private dinner party with guests and friends, you will automatically go to what you're normally accustomed to doing. So I always encourage people, always practice your manners all the time, because you never know when you're going to be in a situation where you're going to begin to think about it, and you're thinking about how people are looking at how you might be eating or how you might look to others. So a bite-sized portion, you cut it up into bite-sized portions. You chew on average 32 chews, 32 times. For each portion that you are putting in your mouth. Now, foods that are more water soluble or softer may require less than 32 chews. An example might be soft pasta, like rice, noodles, whether it be spaghetti noodles, rotini, risotto, quinoa. That's a softer food, so it might not require as many as 32 chews. It might be less. It might be anywhere from 15 to 25. And I've tested it out before I did this video. So for me, it required about anywhere from 15 to 25, 27 chews for soft foods, right? For cakes and desserts, mousses, that's more water soluble, so it won't necessarily take as many chews. If you are eating carrot cake, okay, carrot cake it has carrots in it. Some people make carrot cake and it also has nuts in it, so that's a harder fiber, so it may take more chews to chew that. If you are eating something like steak, or if you are eating crusted meats, like salmon crusted, salmon, pecan crusted salmon. That's what I'm trying to say. Pecan crusted salmon, or, anything that's been breaded. And if it's been double dipped in breaded, you're eating the bread like veal parmesan. You're eating the breading along with the meat. The meat is more tender, but the breading makes it harder to chew. So then you may go back again to that 32 chews, and that may require even more so. If you're having a good healthy steak, the meat is thicker, it's denser, right? And so when the food enter into our mouths immediately, that's when digestion begins. We oftentimes think that digestion begins in the stomach, but digestion begins in the mouth as soon as the food gets mixed with our saliva. The job of our tongue and our saliva and our jaws is to chew that food down and break the texture of it completely down. So then it enters into our esophagus, and then it enters into our intestines, and it goes into the smaller intestines where the enzymes in the intestines will break the food down even more. And that makes our elimination a lot easier when that happens. And so that's why it is important to be mindful about how you're ingesting and how you're chewing up the food that you're eating. Now, I love nuts. I love walnuts. I love cashews. I love almonds. I love pecans. And I eat those on a regular basis. It's a snack for me almost every day. And so when I put myself to the test to find out how long does it take me to chew up one cashew, because that's my all-time favorite nut and I eat it regularly. How many chews does it take me to ingest one cashew? I came pretty close to that 32, like 30, just for one full cashew that's not broken. But I found that if I put one cashew in and began to chew it, and then I popped another one in while I still had that one in there, then I popped another one in while I had that one in there, it took me every bit of those 32 chews for 3 cashews, although chewing one cashew was more than 10 chews. Isn't that something? So even with something as small as nuts and the things that we enjoy, but things that are harder and fibrous, maybe like carrots. I like eating raw carrots. The regular orange carrots that we eat all of the time. And then there's a yellow carrot. Now, to me, the yellow carrot is more fibrous. It's a milder flavor than the orange carrot, but it's something that I enjoy. And so it takes 32 chews and more if you keep it at a bite-sized portion. If you cut the carrots up beforehand, whether you're making them in strips or carrot sticks, or maybe if you're cutting them round so that they're more like silver dollars. I wouldn't even go to a silver dollar. May or may not be a bite-sized chew for some of you, but it's a little bit much for me. Or if you cut them diagonally, you cut them on an angle. And so I would cut that again then in half. And it depends upon the thickness of the carrot that you might be snacking on. It depends on how many nuts you're chewing in your mouth at one time. If you're chewing cashews, if I take just a handful and I put them in my hand, and you know how we do, we put them in the hand and then we just pop them all into our mouth at one time. You may have 5 or 6 or more cashews or almonds or any other nut, walnuts, pecans that may be broken. You have broken pieces, but if you just put a small handful into your mouth, it's going to take every bit of that 32 chews and then some. That's what I found when I put it to the test. Now, I'm not a big meat eater, but I talked a little bit before about steak. Steak is thicker and heavier. It's a heavier meat. So consider when you're eating any type of meat. Again, steak, turkey, it also depends on how it is prepared. So baked chicken may not require as many chews as fried chicken would. So if you're frying your chicken, you're frying your meat, and then again, you're dipping it and you're double dipping it. Some people like for their meats to be crusted. And so if that is the case, then it will oftentimes take more work to chew it up and break it down, break the texture down so that it's easier going into the esophagus and then easier entering into the intestines. And though again, the food goes into the small intestines, the waste goes into the larger intestines. But at the end of the day, when you're having your elimination, you want it to be easy on your body. And so chew your food carefully, take your time, count the number of chews in your head as you're eating it. Now, you may say, Lady Victoria, I've been eating all my life. I am too. I've been eating all my life. I don't have time to count how many chews. I just want to get in and get my meal done, one and done. I worked with a young lady recently that ate really, really quickly. She ate really, really quickly. I mean, just as soon as everyone was plated, and when our host, where I work, you know, whoever is a cook is a host for the evening, when the host began, I mean, she was done usually in about 10 or 12 minutes, 15 minutes top. She was done with her entire meal, clean plate. And if she wanted a second helping, then she could avail herself of a second helping. Eating quickly is not always the best thing to do, and it's not always good for your digestive system. When you eat faster, when you consume your meal faster, and when you're consuming larger than a bite-sized portion of your meal, you oftentimes get full a lot faster. And eating your food that way oftentimes can lead to bloating. It can oftentimes lead to you under-chewing your food. Your food isn't broken down, it's not really texturized by the time it enters into your esophagus. Have you ever been sitting at the table and you're listening to yourself eating or listening to others eating? You can't help but hear the chewing. And sometimes when people swallow, you hear them swallow. You hear their food go down like that. That usually means that it's a big lump of food that hasn't properly been processed before it enters into the esophagus. Things like that can often lead to digestive problems in your digestive tract. One of the most common health issues that people can have is acid reflux, esophageal. I think I'm saying it right. Help me out, Beatrice. Esophageal. You know what I'm saying. It enters in your esophagus. So oftentimes we have esophageal reflux, and that is brought on by poor digestion, swallowing chunks of food instead of breaking it down until it is texturized in our mouth, in our cheeks, before it enters into here. So that's another one of the reasons why you want to take the time. Some foods are just so delicious, and you just feel like, oh, I just want to get it in. I need to get it in, and then I need for it to be over so I can have the next bite. The next bite isn't going anywhere. It's on your plate, and it's waiting for you. So take your time. Take your time, one bite at a time. Bite-sized pieces only. Bite-sized only. It's better for your health. It's better for your health. And you don't want to be over full. One of the great things about breaking down your food into smaller pieces means that it is easier to digest. When it mixes again with your saliva, chewing allows your body to extract the greatest possible amount of nutrients from the food that we're eating as well. So you don't want to chew it up so fast until you miss out on the main benefits of chewing your food and taking your time in doing so. So again, that chewing 32 times, this is backed by many health professionals. Even nutrition experts will tell you that 32 times globally, it's going to vary, you know, and I only did the research for it in the US. I did not do research in other countries. I only researched here. But the benefits of chewing your food 32 times makes it easier on your digestive tract, your digestive system, makes it easier to enter into your intestines, and then it certainly makes it easier for elimination later. And again, foods that I said that are more water soluble, like fruits, some fruits in the melon family, watermelon, honeydew melon, those softer ones, yellow meat watermelon. They are mostly water, a lot of water. So those may take anywhere from just 10 to 15 chews. But again, the heavier foods, yeah, They were going to take the 32 and then some more. Chewing and saliva, again, break down and mix the food together in your mouth. From there, the food goes into your, I already said, your esophagus. When you swallow, your esophagus pushes the food into your stomach. The stomach holds the food while it mixes with the enzymes in your stomach. And that's another reason why you want to make sure that you chew your food well, because the enzymes that are in your stomach help to break it down even more. But if there are whole pieces of food or large pieces of food, chunks of food in there, it makes your system work harder at breaking it down, and not everything gets broken down completely. And so that's why it's very important for you to take your time, chew one bite at a time. Oh, and let me backtrack a little bit. If you already have a bite-sized portion in your mouth, and then you're adding another bite-sized portion into your mouth before you begin chewing that one, or before you finish chewing that one, so it's going to take you twice as long. If you add another portion in your mouth and you already on count number 16, then start over. Or you can keep going from there, but you need to know you don't stop at 32, because you're not really done, because only half of the food in your mouth has been properly processed. And so that's why I say, if I do that, and I've noticed that there have been times when I have done that, I've started chewing and then I put some more in there and I'm only on 15. So I start over, but I know at the end, when it's all properly texturized, okay, when it's all broken down, then I need to add 15 to that. So 32 then becomes 47. It took 47 chews for me to get that food broken down. That's just in my mouth. And then it's going to enter, into my intestines, and it will be processed even further. But I'm making it easier on my intestines to process it because I started the process first. I helped out a little bit. So that's something that you want to just add to your memory bank, something that you want to add to your memory bank. Sometimes people are so excited about what they're eating, and I stated earlier that when you're excited and it's so good until you just want to get it down, you want to get it in and get it down until you can actually put food in your mouth and chomp it once or twice, and then you think you're done and you swallow. That's when that big chunk. So another reason why you don't want to do that, because what else could happen? You could end up choking. You could end up choking if it's pizza or if it's steak, if it's something heavy. And it doesn't always have to be something heavy. It could even just be a piece of bread that gets lodged in your throat, and you can end up choking. You have aspiration to worry about, to be concerned about. So I know we're talking about food that we eat and that we enjoy, but you never thought that it was a whole process, right? You never thought, or didn't give much thought to this being a whole process of getting your food in and how we get it out. But how we put it in makes a difference in our bodies. And we don't want to end up having health issues, choking, aspiration, even malnutrition, and even dehydration, because the saliva, again, mixing with the food that's in your mouth, then that ends up in the small intestines. It still might not be able to break it all the way down. Those enzymes are there for a reason, and you want to make sure that you don't have those issues to worry about. So take your time. You don't want to end up being dehydrated or even being malnutrition, because sometimes, again, you're not getting the nutrients out of your food when you don't chew it properly, when you don't take the time to chew it, and your body is not able to extract the nutrients from the food that's going to be good for your body. So chew slowly. And while we're talking about water, let me backtrack a little bit and talking about water. We oftentimes have some kind of beverage at our table when we're sitting down to eat, whether it's breakfast, lunch, dinner, and sometimes even a snack. If you have water, it is best to have your water 30 minutes before your meal or right after. Oftentimes, when we are drinking water, we're thinking that we need the water to help push the food down. Actually, the water works against the enzymes in your belly when you're drinking in the middle of your meal. So if you must take a drink to hydrate your throat, or to try to clear your throat, or to clear your mouth, oftentimes because we've eaten too much at one time, okay? you know, we have to think about that. Okay. And so let me backtrack. You drink the water in the middle of your meal, and it works against the enzymes in your stomach. It works against the nutrients that's in the food. The body is a well put together machine. God knew exactly what he was doing. So again, if you have to have some hydration, just take a small sip, swallow it down, and then continue eating your food. Bite-sized portions, an average of 32 chews, allow it to go down, allow it to rest, and then take the next portion. And so you might say, well, I don't want to be the last one at the dinner table. I don't want to sit there all this time and have to do 32 chews for every bite of food that I take. Well, you know what? It's going to be a little bit different for everyone. But generally speaking, health-wise, and for your body, it doesn't matter if you're the last person. Because if you end up with digestive problems because you're racing against your dinner mates, what's the rush? Anyway, what is the rush? I remember meeting a young lady a few years ago, and we were actually out on vacation, and she was traveling with us, and it was dinner time. And we said, well, we're going to stop and eat, me and my other parties. We're going to stop and eat. And she said, I have something to do in the next hour. I'll wait. She said, I never rush and eat my food. And I was very impressed by this young lady. She was probably in her mid to late 30s. And for her to have that mindset about how she eats her food and taking her time to eat it and digest it is really stuck out to me. Another reason to take your time when you're eating is you really want to be able to enjoy it. You want your palate to be happy. It should be a party in your mouth every time you eat. It really should. Don't you want to taste all the flavors? Don't you want to taste, the various seasonings that have gone into the food? The cook who took the time to prepare this wonderful meal for you, even if you are the cook, don't you want to sit down and be able to enjoy it and say, oh my gosh, this steak is so tender. Oh, Lord. Yes. I can taste this seasoning that I have in there. Oh, that extra steak seasoning that I added. Woo. And the A1 sauce, I soaked it in A1 sauce before, or Worcestershire, or whatever it is. If you're making lemon chicken, don't you want to be able to taste that? Don't you want that to run across your tongue and across your palate? Don't you want your brain to say, yay, this is a good one right here? Take your time. Enjoy your food. I've traditionally been the one in my family amongst my siblings. I've traditionally been the last one sitting at the table. That's something that happened when I was a girl growing up, and I find that is still with me today. Now, I can't honestly say that it was because I was sitting there enjoying the food as a young girl, but I know it most certainly is now. It most certainly is one of the reasons why I sit. I want to enjoy every forkful, every spoonful. I want the first bite to be just as delicious as the last one. So if I take my time and if I can enjoy my food, if my palate can be happy about what it is receiving, and I take my time, I know that later on, it's all going to be better for me. So another reason why you should take your time is because you actually feel fuller than the person that's rushing through their meal. The person that's rushing through their meal, they feel full, but they may really be hungry later or have appetite later. And by later, I mean 2 or 3 hours later afterwards. But for the person that sits there and takes their time and eat, your body feels fuller after you're done. And usually your appetite is really satiated. Your hunger and your appetite is satiated when you can take your time. Eating slower also can aid in weight control. Okay. Experts say that chewing your food properly can also help increase the amount of nutrients you get out of your food. And we already talked about that. And experts found out that chewing almonds between 25 and 40 times not only suppressed hunger, but also increased people's ability to absorb nutrients from the almonds. Didn't I say earlier about me eating the cashews? and how it took me longer than those 32 chews. So see, this is not just something that Lady Victoria is making up. This is all documented research. We also talked about how to chew, not overloading your spoon or fork to stay on without falling off. With the food in your mouth again, press the lips together, close your mouth, and you begin to chew. Chew slowly, counting in your head. Okay, if you have digestive problems, drinking water when you eat isn't always good for you. See, I already talked about that earlier. Drinking water can slow the digestive process by diluting the enzymes. Remember I said it works against the enzymes that are in the body to help break the food down. Yeah, so here is where we begin to talk about that problem with gastroesophageal reflux disease. So that is an issue. So again, when you chew and you don't chew enough, you could also develop other problems such as bloating, diarrhea, heartburn, acid reflux, nausea, headache, skin problems, irritability, malnutrition, again, ingestion, and gas. Take your time. It's a food party. Enjoy it. Make it fun. Make it palatable. And guess what? Where you're dining in a restaurant, you can give your compliments to the chef. If you are at a private dinner party or a family gathering or some event or what have you, you certainly give your compliments to the cook. They'll be so happy to know that you enjoyed the meal, but you did your part by taking your time in how you ingested the food that you found to be so lovely to your palate. So we talked about the water, drinking 30 minutes before or after you eat, but again, not with your meal. This increases the efficiency of your digestion. 30 minutes before or 30 minutes after, not so much while actually dining. I know that people oftentimes have coffee right after a meal, but when you drink coffee immediately after your meal, wait a little bit if you want to have coffee. Wait and give your food time to digest in your system, break down and digest, and then you can have your coffee. But if you drink your coffee right after your meal, it oftentimes speeds up the process, and you find yourselves making a run for it. So let's not go there. Some of the things that you can do to make this experience more pleasant, as I said in the very beginning, eat foods that you enjoy. And I am all for trying new foods and trying new things. If you have the opportunity, research it beforehand. One of the ways you can do that, especially now, is while you're at home, while we're all sheltering in place, try some of those foods that you have not been brave enough to try in a public setting, because you may not like it. But you can try it at home. Prepare it yourself at home. Look up those recipes. I've been doing that. Look up those recipes and try those meals out at home. And while you're at home, I'm going to do another post, a different one, but I am going to do a post about dining at home and how to make it pleasurable and fun-filled and all of that, even though you're at home. But turn your home into a restaurant. Turn your home into your favorite dining spot and dine at home. You can even order it curbside, but change your environment so that you feel compelled and propelled, to do these things. Let's see. Another healthy eating tip is to eat raw or slightly steamed vegetables. Eating raw or slightly steamed veggies, which contain higher amounts of enzymes and fibers. These two are important, and good for digestion. If you can't, go for a walk after a meal. You can't go outside, but you can walk around the block. You can do that. Even if it means you have to go out in the backyard and do, 30 laps around, walking. Just 30 laps around, walking. This also speeds up the rate in which the food moves through your stomach, adding to good digesting, and then using probiotics. And if you don't know which probiotics to use, talk to your doctor about that. Talk to your doctor about what might be good for you, because probiotics is nothing but a bunch of healthy bacteria for the body, and we can all use that. That is a good thing. So find out which one works for you, and you can make your dining experience a whole lot better. I really hope that you found this information good, useful, and interesting. For me, it's all connected to etiquette. And talking about slowing down, whew, I need to slow down. When I get excited, I begin to talk fast. And when I don't have a monitor with me, and I don't mean a physical screen monitor, when I'm doing a live or if I'm doing a live presentation, I always bring someone with me because I oftentimes need someone to remind me. Slow down, Victoria. Slow it down. So if I begin to sound like a runaway train, and I think I did doing this broadcast, I apologize. It is just my excitement, and it is something that I will work on to get better at. But I love you, my viewers. Thank you so much for your support. As I said, I hope that you found this information helpful, and I hope that it is something that becomes a conversation around your dinner table. And becomes a conversation in your home. Train your children while they're young to not rush through their food. Dining should be an experience, as I said earlier. And now that more families are dining together, I hope they are since everyone's under the same roof. Now that more families are dining together, I hope that is a pleasurable family experience. And it can be, and it should be. Around our dinner table growing up, it was always a family dining experience until everyone began to get older and people had different school schedules and work schedules and the like. But it was always that. Around the dinner table is a great time to discuss your day and discuss your plans for the week, and just to have conversation with one another and to get to know one another a little bit better. So thank you so much for being a part of our broadcast. Thank you so much for sharing your comments in the comment section. I will answer them and respond to them after the broadcast is over. My Facebook viewers, thank you so very much. Repeat viewers, again, thank you for taking time out of your day. YouTubers, you'll be able to catch this. Those that are subscribed to my YouTube channel, Victoria School of Etiquette, you'll be able to access this video later on this evening. And I thank you so very much for being a part of the broadcast. And those of you that are just coming on, we're wrapping up now. So please hit the replay button and please share across your various social media platforms. I'm very grateful to have you be a part of our tribe. I love you to pieces. And remember, I want to end with COVID. I didn't say it in the beginning. Remember to pray for those around you that you know that are affected by the COVID virus and those that you don't. So let's pray globally. Let's pray globally. This is not just happening in our own backyard, but it's happening in everyone's backyard across the world. So let's pray for nations. Let's pray for our president. Let's pray for our mayors in whatever city that you are in. Pray for your mayor, pray for your governor, pray for the heads of your towns and your cities, that they make the right choices and the right decisions. Pray that God would tenderize their hearts so that they might hear his voice and take the action that he would like to see happen. God doesn't force us to do anything, but God's will be done in the earth realm. So pray, and pray some more. I love you. This is Lady Victoria with Victoria School of Etiquette, where we offer a solution to your etiquette dilemmas. You can find me, of course, here on Facebook. I'm also on YouTube, as you heard me talk about. I'm Lady Victoria across the board, Victoria School of Etiquette, on Twitter, on Instagram, and also, yes, even on LinkedIn. So if you have a question and you would like for me to address it from an etiquette standpoint, you can DM me directly on Instagram, and you can also shoot me a message in Messenger Live. You can shoot me a message there, or you can send it to me via Gmail. Gmail is vset16@gmail.com. It stands for Victoria School of Etiquette 16@gmail.com. It's been my pleasure to share this with you on this evening. You all be blessed. Until the next time, we'll chat again. Bye for now.